Romulus, the legendary founder of Rome, faced a shortage of women in his new city. To solve this, he invited the neighboring Sabine tribe to a festival, and during the event, his men abducted the Sabine women. This act, known as the abduction of the Sabines, led to a war between the Romans and the Sabines. However, this conflict will lead to the rise of the Roman Empire. The kings that made Rome. The Sabines derived directly from the ancient Umbrians and belonged to the same ethnic group as the Samnites and the Sabelli. After establishing Rome, Romulus found that the population was predominantly male, consisting mainly of Latins, Italic people, and former bandits. The lack of women posed a significant problem, as it threatened the long-term sustainability of the city's population. The Romans' pleas for intermarriage were rejected, leaving them desperate for a solution. Romulus then devised a cunning plan. He announced a grand festival in honor of Neptune Equester, to which he invited the neighboring tribes, including the Sabines. The event was a ruse intended to lure these people to Rome. As the festival was in full swing, Romulus gave a prearranged signal, at which the Roman men sprang into action, seizing the Sabine women and fighting off their male kin. According to Livy, the exact number of women taken is not known, but it was certainly more than 30. These women, who were mostly virgins, were forcibly carried off to become the wives of the Roman men. Among them was Hersilia, who, despite being married before the abduction, became Romulus's wife. The abduction led to a war between the Romans and the Sabines. However, before the conflict could reach a devastating conclusion, the Sabine women, led by Hersilia, intervened. They implored both sides to cease fighting, pointing out that they now had familial ties with the Romans and did not wish to see their fathers, brothers, and new husbands kill each other. Their plea for peace succeeded, and a truce was declared. The Sabines eventually agreed to unite with the Romans, and the two peoples merged into a single community, solidifying Rome's position in the region. This event, though steeped in myth and legend, symbolized the unity and strength that would come to define Rome in its early days, and reflects the complex interplay between force and diplomacy in the city's foundational stories. After a reign of 37 years, Romulus is said to have disappeared in a whirlwind during a sudden and violent storm as he was reviewing his troops on the Campus Martius. Livy says that Romulus was either murdered by the senators, torn apart out of jealousy, or was raised to heaven by Mars, god of war. Livy believes the last theory regarding the legendary king's death, as it allows the Romans to believe that the gods are on their side, a reason for them to continue expansion under Romulus's name. Numa Pompilius was the legendary second king of Rome, succeeding Romulus after a one-year interregnum. He was of Sabine origin, and many of Rome's most important religious and political institutions are attributed to him, such as the Roman calendar, Vestal Virgins, the cult of Mars, the cult of Jupiter, the cult of Romulus, and the office of Pontifex Maximus. According to Plutarch, Numa permitted slaves to feast with their masters during the Saturnalia, admitting to the enjoyment of the yearly fruits of the earth those who had helped to produce them. Plutarch suggests the timing could be in the memory of Saturnian age, when there was neither slave nor master, but all were regarded as kinsmen and equals. According to Plutarch, any conflicts were excluded not only from Rome, but from all Italy. The roads became safe, and feasts and festivals prevailed. Nobody tried to hurt Numa, to take his place. When Numa died from natural causes, people friendly to Rome come from many places to honor him. Tullus Hostilius became the third king of Rome. Unlike his predecessor, Tullus was known as a warlike king who, according to the Roman historian Livy, he believed the more peaceful nature of his predecessor had weakened Rome. It has been attested that he sought out war and was even more warlike than the first king of Rome, Romulus. He is attributed to the first official war of Rome and the destruction of Alba Longa. Accounts of the death of Tullus Hostilius vary. In the mythological version of events Livy describes, he had angered Jupiter, who then killed him with a bolt of lightning. Non-mythological sources, on the other hand, describe that he died of plague after a rule of 32 years. According to Livy, Ancus's first act as king was to order the Pontifex Maximus to copy the text concerning the performance of public ceremonies of religion from the commentaries of Numa Pompilius to be displayed to the public on wooden tablets, so that the rites of religion should no longer be neglected or improperly performed. He then extended the Roman territory, founding the port of Ostia, establishing salt works around the port, and taking the Silva Mysia, an area of coastal forest north of the Tiber from the Veientes. He expanded the temple of Jupiter Feretrius to reflect these territorial successes. He died of natural causes after a rule of 24 years. Lucius Tarquinius Priscus was the legendary fifth king of Rome and first of its Etruscan dynasty. He reigned for 38 years. Tarquinius expanded Roman power through military conquest and grand architectural constructions. His wife was the prophetess Tanaquil. According to Livy, Tarquin increased the number of the Senate to 300 by adding 100 men from the leading minor families. Among these was the family of the Octavii, from whom the first emperor, Augustus, was descended. He did so with the hope that those added to the Senate would be grateful for their position and thus loyal to him, strengthening his rule as king. Tarquin also wished to seek peace with the Etruscans, but they refused. After several bloody battles, Tarquin was victorious, and he subjugated the Etruscan cities who had taken part in the war. At the successful conclusion of each of his wars, Rome was enriched by Tarquin's plunder. It is said to have built the Circus Maximus, the first and largest stadium at Rome for chariot racing. The sons of his predecessor, Ancus Marcius, believed that the throne should have been theirs. They arranged the king's assassination, disguised as a riot, during which Tarquin received a fatal blow to the head by an axe. Servius Tullius was the legendary sixth king of Rome and the second of its Etruscan dynasty. Roman and Greek sources describe his servile origins and later marriage to a daughter of Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, Rome's first Etruscan king, who was assassinated in 579 BC. He is variously described as the first Roman king to succeed without election by the Senate, having gained the throne by popular and royal support, and as the first to be elected by the Senate alone, with support of the reigning queen, but without recourse to a popular vote. Most of the reforms credited to Servius extended voting rights to certain groups and defined the fiscal and military obligations of all Roman citizens. Lucius Tarquinius Superbus was the legendary seventh and final king of Rome, reigning 25 years. In the year 509, Sextus Tarquinius, the king's son, implored Lucretia, the senator's Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus' wife, to give herself to him. When she refused, he threatened that if she did not yield herself to him, he would kill her, and claimed that he had discovered her in the act of adultery with a slave. "Oh, spare her husband," the shame threatened by Sextus. Lucretia submitted to his desire. But when he had departed for the camp, Lucretia sent for her husband and father, revealing the whole matter and accusing Sextus of raping her. Despite the pleas of her family, Lucretia stabbed herself to spare Collatinus any suspicion that she had betrayed him. Her grieving husband, together with his father-in-law, Spurius Lucretius Tricipatinus, and his companions, Lucius Junius Brutus and Publius Valerius, swore an oath to expel the king and his family from Rome. This event became the end of the Roman monarchy and the beginning of the empire. And thanks for watching, my friends, and don't forget to hit the notification bell for the second part of the Roman Empire series.